Welcome, CAA Hoops fans, to another episode of CAA Court Report. I'm Bobby Broyles, joined with CAAHoops.com blogger Mike Litos. Mike, you able to catch your breath yet? Another 5 games in 11 days for a lot of teams.
Yeah, certainly have better legs than a lot of the players, but yeah, we've been able to catch our breath.
As we take a look at the league standings, you see the top 4 teams have separated themselves a bit from the rest of the pack. George Mason still remains alone on top with a 1-game lead over Drexel, Old Dominion, and VCU. Northeastern still lingering around. Bill Cohen's group sitting at 7-4 in the league race. So, Mike, you take a look at how last week unfolded. The top 4 teams went 3-0. Out of those 4 teams, which ones impressed you the most?
Well, I'll tell you, Drexel and VCU by far impressed me the most of those top 4 teams, Bobby. Drexel just killing teams right now, wrecking them, beating them on offense, still playing the jersey thread counting defense that Bruiser Flynn is known for, but they're getting contributions from everywhere. Darte Ruffin had 2 very good games this week, really broke out of a season-long slump, and now that Bruiser Flynn is getting options on the block with Givens and Ruffin, and options on the wing with freshman Damian Lee, Franz Massenet, Chris Fouch, they are just loaded.
And also another team that has impressed you the most are the VC Rams.
Yeah, I think what they've adjusted to really is not having to rely on Brad Burgess. You know, every team has to mature as the season goes along. Teams figure out their roles. Darius Theus has really come on in the last 2 weeks. It's kind of his team to run. Not saying it's his team, but it's his team to run. Rob Brandenburg broke out of a slump in the Towson game for VCU. So they're getting multiple weapons and not expected weapons and still playing that really good defense that they've been playing. 3 of their last 4 opponents have not scored 50 points.
Well, fans, buckle up again because the action will resume once again on Wednesday night. As we turn the calendar to February, on ESPN3 at 7 o'clock will be the Drexel Dragons looking to continue that winning streak in Boston against a Northeastern team that we talked about earlier, looking to stay in the race for a bye.
Yeah, Bill Cohen with his own set of options, the inside-outside combination that he has, freshman Reggie Spencer, and of course the 2 guards, Jonathan Lee and Joel Smith, really leading them to the victories, but he's getting the play out of Quincy Ford that's keeping them hanging around. You know, they're not a sexy team, Northeastern. They limit possessions, they limit turnovers, they go get the ball and they guard you, but it's been a winning formula so far.
Also at 7 o'clock on ESPN3 will be the Tribe of William and Mary playing host to VCU. And Mike, it was only a few weeks ago when these 2 teams put on a classic at the Siegel Center. How do you see the outcome on this one?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Shaka Smart's going to have his team loaded for bear for sure in this one, Bobby. 1-point game, overtime in a packed Siegel Center. William and Mary had a chance to win that game, just missed a couple free throws late. You can bet that allowed Smart to get his team's attention to say, you just can't walk out there and win games in this league. And you know, we mentioned it at the time, Tony Shaver always seems to be prepared for VCU. Wouldn't be surprised to see that occur again.
Well, Thursday night at 7 o'clock on the Comcast networks, it will be JMU heading to Norfolk to take on Old Dominion. Mike, it's another matchup. The first time around, this one went to overtime where Old Dominion was able to pull away with the win in Harrisonburg.
Yeah, and here's the credit that Matt Brady needs to get for JMU. They've been killed by injuries. Devon Moore still with the injured wrist, but they're still playing hard. They have managers practicing right now. They literally suit up managers to practice. Their health issues are so crazy, but they're playing hard. They're in every game. They were, that Mason game last week, 10-point game. It was not a 10-point game. It was a lot closer than that late. So Blaine Taylor's going to have his hands full.
Well, taking a look at the rest of the midweek action, Wednesday night, UNCW will play host to Georgia State. Pat Scary's Towson Tigers, coming off their first win of the season, will head to Long Island to take on Hofstra. And George Mason look to protect their 1-game lead in the league race as they travel to Newark to take on Delaware. Nationally televised contest on ESPNU at 5 o'clock headlines Saturday's action as the George Mason Patriots look for the season sweep as they welcome the Old Dominion Monarchs to the Patriot Center.
Yeah, one thing we talked about earlier, Bobby, was it seems like the home team in this series always wins. Well, George Mason got Old Dominion in the Constant Center earlier this year. But more importantly, as we look towards not just the Friday bye, but a regular season championship, this would put George Mason 3 games essentially in front of Old Dominion, not just 2. And if Old Dominion can get up there into the Patriot Center and get that victory, suddenly you have Mason coming back to that other 3-team pack with 2 losses, and it would just make February outstanding.
Definitely a huge game in Fairfax this weekend. Saturday night at 7 on the Comcast family of networks, a big week for Northeastern Huskies as they follow their Drexel game with a date at the Siegel Center Saturday night against VCU.
Yeah, Northeastern probably played as well as any team in the Siegel Center over the past 5 years. They got them in that great Matt Janning-Eric Maynard game about 3 years ago. They're not afraid of the road. They have to travel a lot. They don't wear down because they're used to the pace, but the should be the 15th consecutive sellout at the Siegel Center. They're walking into a hornet's nest.
Also at 7 o'clock on ESPN3, it will be the Towson Tigers, who want to congratulate to getting that first win of the year, looking to build off that first win, but will be hosting maybe the hottest team in the league, the Drexel Dragons.
Yeah, sure, you love Pat Scary's attitude. Well, that's just one, but we expect to win every single game we play. But probably no tougher assignment than the Drexel Dragons right now. We mentioned just a little bit earlier, just playing so well on the offensive end and the defensive end. And Towson has made its hay with defense and rebounding, and they're probably running into their front runner for the defense and rebounding kings of the league in Drexel. So it's going to be strength on strength.
The rest of Saturday's action includes the JMU Dukes playing host to the Delaware Blue Hens on various Comcast networks. Hofstra welcome Georgia State, and William & Mary travel to Wilmington to take on the Seahawks. Remember, you can get live stats, video, and audio web streaming on CAAsports.com. And also remember to check out Mike's blog at CAAhoops.com. So, Mike, we turn the calendar to February. What should we expect? It's one last month of the regular season.
Well, we're seeing games now in the 40s and 50s, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that, especially as these teams get together. You know, we've got Old Dominion Mason this weekend. Old Dominion and VCU have one more date. Mason and VCU play twice. Drexel's right in there. They're hammering away. So it's going to be a lot of slogging, as I like to say, a lot of tough rock fights, the 51-48 games. Very CAA February, I think, in front of us.
Yes, Mike, it should be definitely a very interesting last month of the regular season. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of CAA Court Report, and enjoy the games this week.